No, because this is important. This is important. You know why this is important? Did you guys, first of all, did you guys all vote?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's important because no matter how you guys voted, you literally, from America's standards, you guys became Americans this year because you were able to vote. You know, that is what it is. But now, were you guys excited to vote? Or you could give a shit.
Yeah.
I was excited to vote, but I knew my vote did not matter.
You knew your vote didn't matter. Why do you
Because I
think
live
that?
in New York State.
Okay.
That's true.
All right. So now, how does that make you feel?
It sucks.
Right. But you won anyway.
You look at electoral maps, and New York is pretty red, except for that one chunk with a very dense population.
And that's New York City.
Yeah.
And that's where that's because it's, there's a dense population there. There's a lot of blues down there, So, I mean, but there's also, listen, we're fighting something else. We're fighting something else today when it comes to like you guys voting. Like, I think we have to get out of the mindset that our vote doesn't matter, because I went through my life that my vote doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter. Like, this is the first year that our votes matter. The reason I'm saying that is because if you look at a lot of counties, and Dylan, I'll get to you in a second. I promise you we're not going to beat you up. I promise you. But I am curious. I'm very curious to hear. I'm very curious. I have a couple of questions. I'm very curious to hear. I'm not going to, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. But, and I know you're outnumbered here, but I think what happened in this election is there's a whole new group of young people out there. Like, and you guys are tired of second place trophies. And you guys are tired of, saying sorry. And you guys are tired of like other stuff. Like, I don't know how you feel about the other things, but you're tired of, you want to have your own stuff, and you want to be yourself, and you want to be able to speak how you want to speak. Okay. Now in my, what I think, the number one amendment, number one law, rule, whatever you want to call it across the world, is free speech.
Yep.
Okay.
100%.
Now, you can talk about right to bear arms. You can talk about whatever it may be. But without free speech, this world is nothing. This country's nothing. Now, I could disagree with you. I mean, a lot of this stuff is opinion-based, but at the end of the day is people should talk more instead of, because what was happening on your side over there, Dylan, was they were just kind of saying they were lying about how you name your lie. But I feel that they were losing the battle from the beginning, so they resorted to putting somebody like Kamala Harris in there. Now, I don't think Kamala Harris wanted that position, first off. B, I think they were telling her what to say, and C, I think they put her up there too early. Okay. The Democratic Party went a completely different way. And I think that's why some of you young people now, with social media, and you guys are all talking to each other. I think maybe that's why this younger generation might be growing up to be voting more Republican. I mean, Megali, how do you feel like when you voted this year? How do you feel?
What, just like, how did I feel about voting itself?
Voting itself, yeah.
Look, unlike Jeff, I wasn't under the mindset that my vote didn't count. Because, I don't know. I feel like with how the world is today, I feel like one thing could happen and everything could change just like that. Right. How people vote, how people think. I think it like any world. I'm not saying I hope something like this happens, but like any world tragedy, like how 9/11 basically united the country. Yeah, I think it takes one thing, and that really it could have been how Jeff mentioned Trump getting shot. Like that could have been something that at least sparked something, but. Yeah. I think the problem now with people is that they take different political opinions and they take it like personal. Like, I voted differently than you, so it's like, oh, you must be a bad person. You must be,
Okay.
Steve? I was saying before how I just started a class about argumentation. And in this, we're talking about it today, how argumentation is meant to be like the exchange of ideas. It's not meant to be I won, you lost. Like, you're supposed to learn something from it and be able to I'm okay with my opinion being changed. Whereas I feel like a lot of people say in politics, well, their opinion's not going to change. They just want to, I'm more right than you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not how it should be.
Right.
You should be able to have free conversation and be okay with your opinion changing. And that doesn't make you
too many closed-minded people.
Mm-hmm. Your opinion can change, and that's the benefit for everybody. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Conversation. You have to have conversation. You can't yell and scream like I'm right, you're wrong. You can't do that. And in this day and age, I think there's a lot of I'm right and not listening to the other side. So I think if everybody started talking more, maybe maybe we would learn. Because I usually use a different analogy because I won't use it here with you guys. But the way I look at politics is, I'm a capitalist, I guess you would say. I want safety, but I'll be honest with you, homosexuals, I think they should be able to get married. I think that's the kind of stuff that I think, the whole abortion thing. I'm not going to ask you about that, but I am pro-choice. I think people should be able to do what they want with their bodies, and I think there's a certain spot of the Republican Party that wants to infringe on that, and kind of like, But when I voted this year, I looked at all that, and I'm like, that's all stuff that could be worked out. But the main issue is I felt unsafe. Now, I never in my life, like, I have 2 kids, I'm married, I have a house. I venture out and I go into the city every day, but the country itself, I feel unsafe. Like, I feel like one day people are just going to jump out of the bushes in garbage cans with AK-47s and be like, aha, there's enough of us now. We got you. And we're going to be fighting a war in the middle of Fishkill, and I know I'm going a little overboard by what I'm saying next. I think that'll happen, but I think there's a war being fought against it, and I think it's being fought internally. And I think we're going to find out in the way we're getting sick. And I think we're going to find out, and I think, we're going to find out that way. And it's kind of, I just felt, I feel unsafe, and my own government is making me feel unsafe. And those other stuff that I feel like on the right side that I think that that's a little crazy, I think that I could deal with that because there's checks and balances somewhat in this country. You know what I mean? So, like, Dylan, to you, how do you feel? Like, in all honesty, like, how do you feel? Why? All right, you voted for Kamala Harris, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you strong opinion about that? Like, you feel you did the right thing?
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Now, why?
Because I thought she was the better candidate.
Okay. Now, what made you think? What made you think that Donald Trump wasn't a good candidate?
He's a convicted felon.
Okay.
He lied about the 2020 election.
Okay. All right.
I don't think he's a good person.
You just don't think he's a good person. Now, you just said something that I agree with. Now, there's a prototypical guy. Like, if you're a man and, like, I'm 52 years old. I don't got time for anybody's bullshit. You know what I mean? So if I don't like you, I'm just going to say, I'll see you later. Now, if I ran into John Barkley and he was just like Donald Trump, like that guy, and I'm sitting next to him in a bar, I wouldn't hang out with him. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, I don't want to talk to somebody and tell me how great they are and tell me how I suck and whatever. And I have a family member that's like that. But the point I'm making is I don't really like him either. But I'll tell you right now, I don't think he's a liar. And I think that what he says he's going to do, I think he's going to do. And I think that he became president in 2016 because of an ego trip. I truly believe that. But now I think he's a politician. He learned, and he's surrounding himself with the right people that are going to make the decisions. And how do you feel like, how do you feel about the migrants coming into this? Like, do you feel that there's like anything behind that? Like, why did that happen?
Wait, what?
Like the migrants coming into this country, like, basically, that administration had an open door policy, on in, it's like, and I saw it in New York City. Look, guys, I don't know how often you go to New York City, but I could say right now, New York City went through a little bit of it's coming back, but New York City right now is an absolute shithole. I mean, I don't know if you guys like hanging out in the city or if it's like, New York City is an absolute shithole. And I'm not saying it's a shithole from uptown, down. The entire island, wherever you go, there's just people sleeping in the streets. There's people fighting. The Roosevelt Hotel is one of the oldest hotels in Manhattan. It's right across the street from Grand Central. Movie stars, Clark Gable, all these movie stars used to stay there. Now it's housing migrants. It's destroyed. Our tax dollars paid for it by funded money by the government, approved by these people. Like, at what point does that become hold on a second here? Like, we're a big group of people here, right? Tell us where our taxes are going. All right, our taxes are going to go to housing these people in the oldest hotel. No, I don't want them to go that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is what's going to happen. So when it comes to that kind of shit, I don't like that stuff because that's kind of like quality of life stuff. That messes up our quality of life. Donald Trump being a jerk does nothing for him politically. He could be a jerk. He's a prototypical dick. But can he run the country? Sure. Are people going to listen to him? Why? Now, 1980, right? Hostages in Iran. Okay. Jimmy Carter's president. It's like, we were tying yellow ribbons around our trees, bring the hostages home. No. Ronald Reagan takes office. Next day later, boom, hostages are home. We're having a big party. Okay. What's going on down there in the West Bank, in Palestine and stuff like that? All right. No. All of a sudden, whoop, okay, we're gonna have a little bit of a transfer and we're gonna have a ceasefire. There's something to be said about that, about people that lie and telling the American people that we're safe, and people that are saying we're gonna be safe, and this is how we're gonna be safe. Because I don't know about you, when Trump said that the other day, and he that long thing, I'm not gonna paraphrase, but he basically said, if you guys better get your shit together, give us our hostage back, or January 20th, you're all dead. Now, how do you feel about that, Don?
I don't think he had anything to do with it.
About with what?
With the ceasefire.
With the ceasefire? But how do you feel? No, how do you feel about him saying, give us our people back or you're gonna be dead?
I don't think it impacted anything. I think they had been working on the deal for a long time.
Okay. But the phrase itself,
They thought it would be.
the phrase itself, like
him
the
saying-
president of the United States saying, this is my country, and if you don't stop messing around, we're gonna kill you.
I don't think it's a good look.
Mm.
Just go around, go around threatening
Americans.
Show that you're strong.
Show
He
that
didn't even do anything. All
Well,
he did was just say that.
but I'm just all right. Then how about this?
Looks like all talk.
Then how about looking at Donald Trump as maybe like a symbol of how people feel? Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump says crazy shit. All right. I say crazy things. We all say crazy things. But it's the way you portray yourself. Like he can portray himself as a guy. Like I don't see him cowering to anybody. I don't see him walking to a room with Vladimir Putin and just kind of sitting in a corner. Like I see him sitting, walking in, and everybody talking to him. And again, he doesn't have to be a good person for that. And I truly believe that. You don't have to be a good person, but you could be a strong person. You could care about your country. I mean, a good person. Like, what's a bad person? Like this, what is he going to comment on abortion? No, I mean, I think he's going
He
to.
was found liable for to have raped someone.
Who did he rape?
I don't know her name.
Well, what I'm saying is like a lot of these accusations. Like if he was a real rape, he'd be in jail like a long time ago. Now they're saying he's a convicted felon. Now I don't. Now if you want to really get into the whole thing of it, it's like I don't know if you guys know, why is Stormy Daniels not on trial right now for accepting a bribe? That's the same thing as giving a bribe. If you accept the bribe openly and say, I took a bribe, that's also, that's also a crime. So the point I'm making is they're going after him and they pick and choose, because everybody in our lives has done something or said something that either they regret, or like, look at this guy, Hegsmith. You know, this guy, Hegsmith is his name, whatever, what he's going through.
Yeah.
Now, he's going to be the defense secretary. Okay. Now, do you guys care more about what he said about when he was in the military, or that he was sending dick pics to some girl?
when he was in the military.
Like, yes, no?
I mean, it's like we were saying about Trevor Bauer. It's like, yeah, he probably did some dumb shit, but is he still a good baseball player and would help your team?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
So
Is he an asshole? Yeah. But will he get over our country? I sure hope so. God hope so, right?
it's a strangely good comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, I wouldn't say Trump is a good guy, but I think he's got the balls to do what he says, and whether he's bluffing or not, I feel like these other countries clearly believe it.
Now, don't get me wrong. If you go to the middle of the country, there's some dumb people that follow Trump down there. I mean, because I used to watch these videos like when COVID was going on, and there was some guy at a Trump rally, anti-vaxxers, and this guy's going, well, I guess you're an anti-vaxxer. And, some big fat lady turns around smoking a cigarette. I'm not putting that shit in my body. Go Trump. It's like, you're not putting that shit in your body, but you're smoking a cigarette and you're like, fat as a house. So that's kind of like a double standard there too. The COVID vaccine thing is another thing. I don't want to get you guys into that conversation.
That's Trump supporters. That's not him himself.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
It also has to do with the education system.
Well,
The
yeah,
education
this
system is
there's
absolutely terrible in this country.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that they're getting rid of the Department of Education.
Yeah.
Like make it up to the states. New York's not going to change that much.
Mhm.
That's fine, but leave it up to the states. That system was a complete failure.
yeah. And I think a lot of those redundant agencies are going to be getting rid of, because
Doge.
Yeah.
they're on it, man. And everybody's all up in arms because you guys know what the FDA does, right? Yeah, nothing. So they want to get rid of the FDA. You guys know that? Robert Kennedy Jr. says the FDA does nothing but literally look at something, say it's FDA approved or it's not FDA approved, so it's still on the shelf. The FDA approves all that red dye shit in our food.
yeah.
If you go to Italy and get a box of cornflakes or whatever, there's like 5 ingredients in it. If you look at ours, there's like 25 different ingredients in it. Now, why is that right? Because the government is killing us in that aspect too. They're putting all sorts of preservatives in our food. You know, they want us to be fat, and then wait a second, you guys are too fat. So here, take a shot. Now you're skinny. You know, so it's all like, you know, I think it's all in the food. And I don't know if I want to go down this route with you, but I think it's all in the food. And I think that they're trying to get at us from that aspect too. Now I'm going to say something that's really crazy right now, and I'm going to tell you if you guys agree with me. I think that, Dylan, you tell me if you agree with me, because I think that it's your side that's doing it. I think that they're putting stuff in the food so you guys don't want to be men anymore. Now, listen to what I'm saying. Okay. I think that they toxic masculinity. When was that ever a word? I think that government is trying to not make us masculine anymore, or they're making it bad for us to be men.
They're making it okay for us to not be men.
Yes, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's okay. Now, I think that they're putting something in the food. Dylan, you think that's funny? Why?
It sounds ridiculous.
Okay, but they're putting stuff in the food that's giving us cancer. Why not?
That's much different.
Why?
I mean, that's a disease.
I know it's a disease, but what I'm saying is, but we don't know what they're putting in our food is the point I'm making. Like, how are you going to test 1,000 different ingredients?
How are you going to make something do that?
Scientists can do stuff all the time.
But like,
Scientists
what I'm
make-
saying is that they're serving one product in Europe that has this list of ingredients, and the ingredients they're putting in our food in the same product are banned in this country because of the bad effects it has for you. But America is allowing that.
And look at how
Those
fit all the
ingredients
other
be-
countries are.
Yeah. America has an
We're
obesity
fat, bro.
problem.
Yeah, yeah. But and again, it's in our food. And again, I know, like I said, you guys look at me like I have like 10 heads, like they're trying to demasculine you guys. But I am a little crazy, but I think media is making that. I think media is not making it okay for you guys to be men because of the fact that, do you know what I read the other day? And this is true, you can look it up. You know, there's a new word in the dictionary, the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It's women, WOMYN, because there's no men in women. A girl spelled that in a spelling bee in some state. She spelled it, and then they had to look it up, and it was a brand new word in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So the fact that they're trying to make you guys as young people feel like, you know, I shouldn't be as manly is kind of, I think it's a problem, because that's going to affect our military. You know, that's going to affect a lot of things that we do on a daily basis. Like, you know, we build big, huge buildings. Like, you know, we're carpenters. Like, you know, we lawyers. Not that women can't do that, but we do physical shit. You know what I mean? And if we're not allowed to, you know, if our wife is somebody like pinches my wife's ass, and you know, I can't punch him in the face. My wife's gonna want me to, but a lot of women in this day and age, a lot of people are gonna turn around and say, "Why'd you punch that guy? Because he touched it." Well, couldn't you just talk to him? But I think he deserves a punch in the face. So the fact that they're putting it in the food, I think, is a little crazy. But I think the media is trying to demasculinize, whatever the word I'm talking about is. You know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know about in food.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be a bit of a stretch, but yeah, you have more life experience, so I'll hold you to that.
Well, apparently were you not allowed to eat hot dogs there for a while, or what was that called? What was that called when you eat a hot dog and they zoom in on you?
Oh,
Oh,
Good.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's And Aiden, what about you over there, kid? How do you feel about who you voted for?
About Trump? I
Yes.
think I voted for the right candidate.
Okay. Why?
I think with just like him being just like more of like a tougher guy and more of just he seems like he's just gonna get shit done, and he seems like he's just a man of his word, and like he just seems like much like tougher than Kamala was, and I feel like we need somebody who's tough like
Even
that.
Biden.
And we need somebody that like other like countries like need like could fear.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Vladimir Putin, like didn't Vladimir Putin like what's the word? He supported Kamala. Right?
Well, yeah, of course.
But then, like, I feel like he would want somebody like Kamala in office because she seems like, more, like weaker. You know what I mean? Like,
It
more,
has nothing to do with her being a woman either.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing.
no, but like, I feel like Trump is just more of like a stronger candidate. You know what I mean?
You just said that. No, not because she's a woman, but you know what I have a big problem with? I have a problem with Obama telling black men that they have to vote for her because they owe it to black women. He said that.
Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a problem. And I tell you right now, he lost a lot of votes for her because of that statement.
Did you see that Stephen A. Smith?
was talking
Yeah,
about
Stephen A.
that.
Smith.
Really?
I normally don't
Yeah,
like him, dude,
totally.
but he made a lot of awesome points about that.
Yeah.
He said that he had voted before that, but he thinks that watching that would have might have changed his mind on who he had voted for
Yeah,
if he had voted after seeing that.
yeah. I don't know. What about our country in general, Dylan? Where are we going in 4 years? Where